put a good show on.
You know, the carts are coming out. We're going to ask you to stay with us for just a few short moments. You started out your entire career coming up from the carts as well. You're no stranger to running carts and legends, but the one thing I know about you, you've won in every single thing you've ever sat behind the wheel of. Chase Dowling is the real deal. Let's get to the starting lineup, Matt Buckler. Tim Sullivan is starting on the inside of the front row, as he will be the guy to contend with. He's been the big dog here at Stafford for most of the events this season.
Then it will be Brian Sullivan in the 92 in second, Nick Haddon, 41 in third, and starting fourth, Lucas Leone in 1 New England.
Then it's car number 68 for Ryan Kendall. Alongside of him will be Mike Perry, the number 26.
And then Ryan Borges in car number 24 will start seventh, alongside Sean the Grenade Foster, who in cart number 11 will start eighth.
5 rows back of the inside, Justin Doobie with car number 14. Jordan Mandano with the number 4 car will be starting in the 10th spot.
Adam Dion will be starting 11th in cart 1. Then it's a 97 for Chris Hurt. Alex Calasanto in the 66. And then Ron Midford Jr., who used to be a great champion in this division, won back-to-back titles. He is in car number 09.
You know, we said before, a lot of these drivers do multiple things, and among them being Tim Sullivan is the spotter for Dan Avery. Tim Sullivan didn't do a lot of spotting until this past season, to be very honest with you. Brian Sullivan is the spotter for Doug Colby, and I'm going to ask my buddy here, old Chase Dowling, to put his headset back on. How important is a spotter? Brian Sullivan, they say, is one of the best in the business. You've got Randy. Is a spotter really that important to a driver?
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to, for the spotters to tell you what lap you're on, whose lap car is, who's not, what position you're in when you're running throughout the race. There's a lot going on. The spotters have their handful up there for sure, and they're definitely the driver's right hand.
One of the big misconceptions of Chase Dowling is the fact that they think, and I'm going to tell it like it is, he's a spoiled rich kid from the other end of Connecticut. That is not the story. And if you go to Chase Dowling's website, you'll see a very important piece there that tells the story. You've worked and earned everything you've ever had, Chase. And Matt, we're about to go green.
The battle of the Sullivans to get us started. Tim on the inside, Brian on the outside. And trying to poke his nose in there is Lucas Leone. Mike Perry moving it up to make it 3 wide. Mike Perry, one of the best in the division. But right now, Brian Sullivan is in second, and Tim Sullivan takes over the lead.
If you don't think these two brothers have rivalry between them, you are totally wrong. Brian Sullivan came and stole the cake right off the table for Tim Sullivan. He had won almost every event. Well, at that point, he had won every event here at Stafford in Monday Night Kart Competition. Meanwhile, here comes Michael Perry. He clicked off the quickest lap of the race so far, 16.061. He isn't done yet, and here's the number 1 car. That has worked its way up to the top 4 with a 16.105.
Lucas Leone has spent most of his season racing in the Truck Series. So he is back in karting, the division in which he started his career. Brian Sullivan a distant second right now to his brother Tim. Mike Perry in third, in a great battle for 4th and 5th. And it's Ron Borges in cart number 24, who has infiltrated the top 4.
You know, there's no question about it. Tim Sullivan has worked on his race car. His son, Jace, is just 2 years old, a spitting image of him, and he just loves the race car at home as he helps out Dad each and every night of the week to prepare that car. Tim Sullivan's car has a brand new engine, and he literally cut that car and changed the chassis on that car, and he said that has been the key ingredient so far. His brother Brian says, I know the magic, I know the secret. He's currently setting in second. But second is the hot spot of the racetrack. Inside move, down into turn number 3. Thinks twice of it, pulls it back into line, runs in the tire tracks. We've got a gaggle of cars coming back to the stripe.
And that gaggle is still led by Tim Sullivan. And a man to watch, Ron Borges, car number 24. He is a little guy, and here comes Brian Sullivan with an explosive move as he is able to roller coaster his way into the lead.
Once Brian Sullivan got into the lead, he literally is out in front and gone. And brother Tim is pedaling as fast as he can, but it is Brian Sullivan. Now, Brian Sullivan was a former champion in the Thompson Modified Division years back at the Thompson International Speedway. He also went for one of the wildest end-over-end rides here at Stafford in the history of the SK Lights Mat. Remember that year?
Yes, I do. And that was a little hair-raising on that occasion. Brian Borges continues to pester Tim Sullivan, who's now in the number 2 spot. And the man in 3rd, that is Nick Haddon. The guy from Vernon is making a climb as he is ready to put a move on Tim Sullivan.
You know, Nick Haddon, nobody really heard of him a few weeks back, and then all of a sudden, he become a huge factor in this division as he has now worked and taken over the runner-up spot.
4 wide, deeper in the field. Mike Perry on the inside, and he is surrounded by the enemy.
Sean Foster back in the 9th spot as he continues to be a little bit off the pace. Meanwhile, way up wide, and all of a sudden, Sullivan gets run all over the track. We're talking about Tim Sullivan as that 24 machine of Ryan works its magic back into the top 3.
And the guy who got blindsided was hurt in the 97 as it was Haddon climbed over him, and he gets hammered again. So he is like a piñata at a children's birthday party. He has absorbed a lot of punishment.
There's no question about it. 14 of 20 circuits now complete in the record books. And kind of a surprise a little further back in the field as we have been watching the 26 machine of Michael Perry. Perry was so strong in qualifying, and he just clicked off the fastest lap of the event. And all of a sudden, he's starting to slow just a bit. Less than 5 circuits remaining as they work their magic. There's no question about it. Brian Sullivan did his homework. He only comes out for the big dog races, and today it is one of those days that he looks like Superman with his cape straight out at the front of this field.
Yeah, there were 400 reasons why Brian Sullivan decided to race tonight. The $400 purse in 2nd, trying to pressure him. Nick Haddon, these 2 guys are pretty good rivals. They have been over the years. Down to the final 2 laps, Sullivan in command, but Haddon is not very far away.
There's no question about it. Can he catch him? Time is running out. The clock is ticking. Haddon closes up the gap ever so slightly. Deep into turn number 3. The white flag is out. Brian Sullivan can almost feel the heat as the challenge is on. Bottom of turn number 1. Sullivan guards the spot, drifts up to the outside. Here comes Hayden again, closing it up. Final turn, Matt, as they come to the stripe.
And it is Brian Sullivan who is going to put the hammer down, and he will celebrate. Brian Sullivan holding off Nick Haddon for 2nd. It was Ryan Borges for 3rd, Tim Sullivan for 4th, and Mike Perry will round out the top 5.
Brian